Yes, sir. We are live. Amazing. What's going on, guys? For the one that just left, might want to come back in. It'll be an interesting conversation. Okay, guys, what's going on? Happy Sunday. Hey, guys, what's going on? How are you guys doing? Hope your Sunday is swell. I know mine's was able to sit back and relax. um, Attended a family member's wedding, and it was nice, minimalistic. Um, the same way I would want my wedding. Amazing. So, what is going on? In case you guys are unfamiliar with me, I am the conservative. My channel is based on speaking about current events and getting into the political climate as well. This topic that we will be speaking on will be based on the current events that are I mean that are currently trending. So before we get into the show, I am going to request a few things. I don't really ask for much, so this shouldn't be too much of an ask for the very people that are choosing to tune in to my show. First thing is that I just need you guys to do the following. If you're going to tune into the show, I need you to hit the like button. All right. Very important that you hit the like button. All right. Uh it does well with the show, and it also allows um the show to um it helps with the engagement of the show. So it would allow YouTube to then promote the show. Also, leave a comment during and after the show. Again, it allows YouTube um, to promote the show on partner channels, so that the show will be able to reach the masses would need to be that will need to watch the show in order to be informed and entertained at the same time. And the same thing like the live stream. And there's one more thing. Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. Uh, give me 1 second. Also, I want you guys to be a part of the show. Okay. Um, and in order to be a part of the show, the link is at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Be a part of the show. Um, I don't plan on 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 having this show. I mean, I don't really plan on running this show for too long. At the most, maximum is about 20 minutes. I mean, it's gonna depend on how many people are looking to uh, actually viewing and participating in the show. If we don't get too many people to join, then at the most, you're just going to hear a 20-minute monologue from me, and then if you would like to replay the show, you can do it on your own pleasure. But just know that at the most, I'm going to run this show for about 20 minutes. Okay, capiche? All right. I'm going to leave the link at the bottom in the event that anyone that is tuning into the show um, would then be able to put would then be able to put the link in order for them to join the show. So if you guys would like to join the show, the link is at the bottom, and I'll be more than gladly to have you guys on the show. So some interesting things that happened this week. All right. Um, for those of you tuning in, if you guys are looking for the meaning of the title of the show, the meaning ooh, there's a purpose for me putting that meaning there because I wanted to speak on the manner. Woo! Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I wanted to speak on the manner because it does hold great significance to the topic of this show. Um, if you guys, in case you guys weren't in loop of the news, which I don't really blame a lot of you guys for not being a part of, because the fake news mafia is so corrupt that you can't take anything that they say for a grain of salt. But if you were in the loop, the major headlines that was sweeping the nation was a missing submersive that went missing last Sunday, um, while attempting to dive about 4,000 meters or 2 miles or 13,000 feet below the ocean in order to view the Titanic. All right. So this vessel, which was about 380 miles away from St. John's and from St. John's, Newfoundland, which was the original dock where the passengers had to originally dock and where they had to originally arrive and then get on the mothership, which was deemed something Patriot or I think something like that. What was that thing called? Polar Prince. Polar Prince. So they had the dock Polar Prince, which was the mothership, which towed uh, the Titan submersive from Ocean Gate that was created by the CEO of Stockton Rush, who was who happened to be on the very expedition that or who wound up being on the very submersive that went missing during the expedition dive. So the Polar Prince had to tow the submersive 380 miles out to where the initial Titanic wreckage was, um, deep within the Canadian waters. And they dove in, and about an hour and 45 minutes into the dive, they lost communication with Polar Prince. And the Polar Prince, or the mothership, waited several hours for the submersive to resurface, and it never did. And that's when they called an SOS to the Coast Guard that went for a frantic search and rescue for the submersive, only to find out, and that happened last Sunday on Father's Day. Um, and the search went on for about 4 days until Thursday, this past Thursday, where they finally stated that the submersive was in pieces, and they concluded that the submersive suffered a catastrophic implosion, thereby killing everybody on board, and thus leaving any belief that they may have survived. Um, oh, excuse me. Oh, God, sorry, allergies, guys. Um, so anyway, they they erased any ability or any thought, especially for the families, that these members would have survived this event. And it's a shame, considering the fact that that the Coast Guard, or that the U.S. Navy, actually was able to give some type of hope that the submersive somehow was still intact, by by stating that they heard knocking sounds, um while they were while as they were putting sonars in, that they heard knocking sounds on the very sonar that they put within the area that they believe the vessel was lost at. And it all turned out to be false hope. I think the truth of the matter is that the mothership knew, and the US Navy, the Coastal Guards, they all knew that this submersive imploded the moment that they lost communication. And keep in mind, communication was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into the dive. It so um on a dive that deep, it normally takes about, you know on in the type of dive that they were doing, which was about 13,000 feet, which is equivalent to hitting the ocean floor. It would normally take them 2 hours just to get down to that depth. 2 hours. An hour and 45 minutes in, that means that they were very, very close to the ocean floor when they lost communication. And at the point that they lost communication, that's when the vessel imploded. All right. And if you don't know what an implosion is, um, you'll be able to get a clear picture of it when as soon as I'm able to show you um, an example from a clip courtesy of Fox News that will show exactly what happened that Sunday. Now they're all alleging that that's what could have happened, but we all know that's exactly what happened. Um, why am I bringing all of this up? Well, for the simple reason that this, while this was a tragedy, this was an unnecessary tragedy. This should have never happened. Okay. This should have never happened if A, the CEO wasn't basking in his own delusion and in his own ignorance and arrogance and actually took heed to all of the warning signs that were given by other people within the submarine industry. If he actually would have gotten that submersive, which is nothing more than a which is the equivalent of a minivan, if he would have gotten it certified, if he would have gotten real people to make sure that that the very submersive was actually safe enough to reach those specific depths. If he would have actually went out of his way into making that vessel safe, then this tragedy would have been avoided. And also, even if he did not take those measures, then B, the passengers should have known what they were getting themselves into and not even think about getting into what could have been or what which wound up being their water coffin. So A, if the CEO would have not been ignorant and arrogant about putting his very vessel into the deep ocean, which has unforgiving measures for human beings, and B, if the passengers would have used some common sense and known that this was insane and very dangerous to attempt, that this tragedy would have easily been avoided. Because keep in mind, you cannot um execute an expedition without passengers to do so with. And if everybody would have looked at Stockton Rush and seen that he was out of his mind and not even give him the time nor day to engage in such foolishness, then the only tragedy that would have happened would have been within Stockton Rush. Yes, let him prove how safe his vessel is, which you all knew was nonsense. Okay. His safe, I mean, his vessel was nowhere near safe at all. And to prove the matter, I have a clip right here that I would like for all of you to watch that shows not only how dangerous this was, but how ridiculous this expedition was based on the CEO just basically winging it. So without further ado, here's the clip.
On the tragic end to the search for that submersible carrying 5 people to the wreckage of the Titanic. The Coast Guard saying that Titan submersible suffered an apparent implosion, killing all 5 people on board. We're now getting a look at how that implosion happened Ashley Rodriguez with our Fox 5 New York team has been covering this and joins us now with the latest. Ashley, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, good morning, Josh. Yeah, sadly, we're learning that some experts were not surprised by the implosion. They believe the Titan's hull, which is made up of carbon fiber, began to crack.
Now, I want you guys to think about this. You're speaking about um, you're speaking about a submersive, right? Not necessarily a submarine, but a submersive that was going down into the deep ocean that gives up about 380 atmospheres, which is equivalent to about 5,500 pounds of pressure going all the way down to the ocean floor. That is equivalent to 19 Empire State Buildings being stacked on top of this submersive. So you can imagine one single crack or in any type of opening would literally destroy this submersive. And yet the entire submersive was was composed of carbon fiber, a structure lightweight structure that's usually effective in racing cars. I can't really think of any other way or any other place where carbon fiber will be effective, although I'm sure there are other places. But I know for a fact that carbon fiber is effective in racing cars because it takes the weight off of the vehicle and allows the vehicle to be a lot faster and be a lot more um, aerodynamic and more set to the ground. And its main purpose is for the very is for the very vehicle to be fast. But we're talking about a submarine here or even a submersive. We're talking about a vessel that is supposed to be able to withstand the immense pressure of the ocean body floor. I mean, you're talking about a vessel that can go all the way down to the ocean floor that is now going to take on 5,500 pounds of pressure. It if to put that in perspective, it's equivalent to taking a 50-pound dumbbell and dropping it on a cockroach. It will completely pulverize it. All right. That's the immense amount of pressure that is down on the ocean floor. And the very thing that they were traveling in was made up of carbon fiber. I want you to think about that for a minute. How can something that is supposed to take on that amount of pressure will be made up of something that can easily break and fold into an accordion? Let's move on.
Under pressure, under all that water. And they say the company was warned about this as far back as 2018.
2018, they were warned. Mainly Stockton Rush was warned back in 2018 that the composite that this submersive was made out of, was unsafe. And what did Stockton Rush do? Eh, blew it off. Okay, though he believed that those people weren't innovative enough. Well, those very people now, I wonder what they have to say now about the very warnings and heatings that they tried to pass on to this CEO. I mean, clearly they will have to feel vindicated for what they said, but I mean, common sense would tell you this.
Authorities are looking into what could have gone wrong on the Titan submersible only an hour and 45 minutes into the tourist trip to the Titanic wreckage. In this video obtained by Fox 5 and
I want you
created
guys to
by
watch
Brad
this.
Perry of Starfield Studio, you can see a simulation of what possibly took place due to the high amount of pressure causing the sub to crumble in about 30 milliseconds.
That is amazing. Did you see that? It literally folded like an accordion. So it's equivalent to taking this, right? So it is equivalent to taking this can. Imagine this can being the submersive, and imagine my hands being the pressure of the ocean floor. All right. Now, obviously, I can't press it this. I can't press it vertically because I don't have the strength to do so. But imagine, imagine the ocean floor doing this. See that? That's what the ocean floor did to this submersive because it was made up of carbon fiber. This is what stupidity gets you into. And keep in mind, there were things in the submersive, right? They had combustible, combustible items to keep the submersive going. All of that immediately exploded, which caused the implosion. So anything that was within that tub that they called a submersive was completely eviscerated. Coast Guard was speaking about recovering bodies. Um, they will be lucky if they find body parts deep in the ocean. I don't think so. Let's move on.
5 passengers inside are assumed to have been killed instantly.
Now, I want you guys to take a look at these idiots right here. All right. Now they claim that this guy had the most sense out of all of them. Um, they wanted to, make him, look as if he was an innocent victim in this. And granted, he is a victim in this, but he was a victim of his own stupidity. This was the only person that actually knew. He knew for a fact that what was going on, that this expedition was dangerous, and yet he still went along with it. And they wanted to claim, oh well, this poor kid, he's 19 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, 19, this guy is a full consenting adult. This is a grown man. This is a man that easily could have told his father that he didn't want to have anything to do with this, and he could have just walked away from it. Honestly, that's what he should have done, but instead he went along with it, thinking that he was doing the right thing by trying to please his father into wanting to be a part of this expedition. It's bad, but it's terrible. He knew that it was bad, and he's old enough to make his own decisions. So why didn't he do it? So he proved to be just as dumb as his father. And listen, that may seem harsh, but this is the honest truth of the matter. Nobody can ever make you do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, then by all means don't do it. All of these people are adults. All of we're not speaking about teenagers here. All right. None of these people are minors. All of these people are adults. All of them, and they're all consenting adults. All right. Now, if you look at this moron right here, this guy chose to to ignore all of the warnings, despite the fact that he was told that this vessel would suffer catastrophic events. I mean that this vessel will go through a catastrophic event, and he blew it off because he thought he knew better than the experts. Okay, well, so be it. And they made their bed, and so now they're lying in it, and they're lying on the ocean floor.
It just implodes in, the pressure gives in. The deeper you go, the more pressure. It's 44 pounds per square inch per every 100-foot change.
Those who knew the victims say they died doing what they loved.
You sort of think of
Okay, so here's where I have an issue with this. They claim that these people died doing what they love. Now we all know that's false because this guy right here, if I just turn it right back here, sorry, is it this person? No.
Pounds per square inch per every 100-foot. The deeper you go, the
Instantly.
it just
So this guy right here clearly did not want to be a part of the expedition, but he felt forced to do so because he wanted to make his father right here happy, and he felt that it would be the perfect Father's Day gift by allowing himself to be a part of an expedition that he never really wanted to be a part of. So we all know that he never really wanted to be a part of it, and that it was mainly these people here, and then these two guys here that really wanted to be a part of the expedition. So we all know that to be a lie.
implodes in, the pressure gives in. The deeper pounds per square inch per every 100-foot change.
Those who knew the victims say they died doing what they loved.
you sort of think of people as they retire, then they can go on and do things that they love to do. This was exactly that for him.
But new reports say the youngest passenger, 19-year-old Suleiman Dawood, was terrified to get into the vessel. But he did it to please his dad, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, who was also...
And the thing is, his son is 19 years old. He is a grown man. I mean, this is a full consenting adult who made the decision to join his father in something that he didn't feel comfortable doing. Now, people can make the argument that if he was a minor, all right, and I would say 17 and under, and he felt forced into doing it, that's one thing. But I'll be honest with you, even at 17, you're still old enough to know what's good and what's not good. At any time, this person could easily consented not to do it. He chose to do it, and then he winds up meeting his demise. All of these people were complete idiots for doing this in the first place. First of all, they were idiots for not questioning whether or not this was the right thing to do. I mean, they didn't even do their research on this particular vessel, and this, despite all of the warnings, and even if they didn't heed all the warnings, if they happen to go along with this and happen to pay a hefty $250,000 to engage in this, if they were to see the vessel for itself, if they were actually to investigate it, not investigate, but invest the vessel itself, one would have said absolutely not. I mean, you're talking about going into something that is no bigger than a Toyota Corolla. They claim that it's as big as a minivan. It looks more like a Toyota Corolla. And you expect 5 people to fit in there with one window while being bolted in there and having to spend several hours down there. I think common sense would have told anyone, you know what? I'm not doing this. Absolutely not. But these people ventured on.
Also on board. The voyage took off last Sunday on Father's Day. Titanic director James Cameron, part owner of Triton Submarines and a deep sea explorer, says the deaths on board Ocean Gate's vessel were tragic and unnecessary in light of the company being repeatedly warned about its experimental approach to deep sea diving.
So Ocean Gate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think that's pretty clear. I wish I had been more vocal about that.
Now, Ocean Gate has declined to comment on its safety record so far. And in the meantime, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada is now launching an investigation into.
Sorry about that, guys. That is amazing. That is amazing. Hold on one second.
Now on the tragic end to the search for that submersible.
Canada is now launching an investigation into.
Okay. So that is amazing, folks. Amazing. So for all of these people that participated in this, it's astonishing. Very, very, very astonishing that they would pay $250,000 to get into something that wasn't certified, that um that was heeding warnings about it being a total failure, that would put 5 people into a water coffin, and somehow some way these people thought it was a great idea to go along with it. I could think about many ways that I could spend $250,000. The last thing that I will do is to spend $250,000 and get into a water coffin. And that's exactly what happened here. Okay? But let alone, hey, these people are multimillionaires and billionaires. They earned their right to earn the type of money that they have, and therefore they should be able to spend their money however they want to. That's not necessarily the issue here. You know, the reason why I chose to make light of this topic is because of how mainstream media can be very deceptive. Now, keep in mind, all right, the mainstream media, right? CNN, MSDNC, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, everybody placed their focus on a bunch of millionaires and billionaires that decided to spend their money into entering a water coffin. And they ultimately met their demise. But meanwhile, in the news, but meanwhile, there was another story that really should have made headline news. That really should have been the headline, and that was the Bidens. The criminal activity committed by the Biden family. How Hunter Biden was being investigated for his text messages of receiving bribes from Ukraine. These people had hardcore evidence about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden receiving bribes. Not to mention, Hunter Biden was reached a deal with the Department of Justice for tax evasion and for illegal gun possessions, because Hunter Biden was receiving improper benefits from other countries and was not paying taxes upon those improper benefits. Not to mention, Hunter Biden was an owner of a gun, even though he was deemed ineligible when he applied for the gun registration, because in the gun registration, I believe there was a passage where where in which if you were deemed a drug addict, that you would be ineligible to own a firearm. Hunter Biden, as we know from the laptop, it was revealed that Hunter Biden was a crackhead. Hunter Biden smoked crack. All right. He was a drug addict. That alone should have immediately made him ineligible to own a firearm. And yet, and yet, he was able to have one. And because of that, immediately he should have gotten 5 years in prison. But instead, he cuts a deal with the Department of Justice, and he gets a slap on the wrist and a fine. And yet, that news was minuscule compared to the news that wind up reaching the headlines of these these five idiots that decided to deep dive into the ocean floor in a bathtub filled with material that wouldn't be able to withstand the pressure of the ocean floor, and thereby imploding, and that wind up making headlines the over the Hunter Biden blatant corruption. And I'm not even going to say Hunter Biden blatant corruption, but the corruption by the Bidens. Just based on the evidence based based on the evidence committed by Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden should be in jail and Joe Biden should be impeached and thrown out of office. But because the very people that are supposed to either imprison the Bidens or impeach the Bidens, because they're in office and they refuse to not move an inch, nothing will happen. Absolutely nothing. The least it could do is to make the headlines of their blatant crimes, but instead the headlines that are being promoted are a bunch of people that did stupid things with their money that ultimately led to their demise, as if anybody should care. But that's your news cycle. This is the reason why nobody trusts the mainstream media. I don't trust any of them. At one time I used to subscribe and tune into Fox News up until a year ago when Fox News was promoting Pride Month. So clearly Fox News falls into the same category as the rest of the fake news mafia, which is the category of globalism. They care more about being mainstream than they care about standing for what they should stand for, which is conservatism. Everybody's looking for sensationalism now. And that's what this is all about. It's all about sensationalism. The fake news mafia clearly wants to just like how we live in a two-tier government system. We live in a two-tier system where you have a justice system that's willing to go after one particular party while ignoring the complete crimes of another party. Just like we have a two-tier justice system, we also have a two-tier media system as well. The fake news mafia will rather pay attention to things that are that are mainly irrelevant and ignore things that are mostly relevant or that should be relevant. That's the type of system that we're in today. All right. The fact that these three idiots chose to spend $250,000 each to hop on something that turned out to be um, their water grave is mainly on them, but should not be headline news because they voluntarily did that. I'm sure there'll be an investigation on Ocean Gate. I'm sure Ocean Gate will be civilly, if not criminally liable. But again, it shouldn't be headline news. At the most, it should get the very coverage that black on black homicide gets, which is minuscule. Shouldn't make headline news. All right. What should make headline news is the blatant corruption by government officials, uh, government elect officials. That's what really should be making headline news, but instead, we get this.
Tragic end to the search for that submersible.
That's what we get.
5 people to the wreckage of the Titanic. The Coast Guard saying that Titan submersible suffered an apparent implosion, killing all 5 people.
I mean, who cares? Honestly, who cares? They made their bed, so shall they lie in it. And right now, they're lying in a watery grave. All right. The very thing that was supposed to view an artifact winds up becoming an artifact itself. Great, wonderful. Why does that make headline news? Why do I have to hear about that on every news outlet? Simple. Because mainstream media is all about sensationalism. It's all about ratings. It's not really about the news at all. They're trying to tell you what is considered news, and they're trying to make you think about what you should deem important news or important things in your life. You know, how does the Ocean Gate submersive implosion, how does that affect my life? Why should I care that a submersive imploded upon the deep ocean? Yes, no kidding. When you when you have a CEO that cares more about innovation than safety, those things happen. But again, how does that affect my life? If anything, um, a sitting president vehemently taking bribes from another country and and the fact that that his son was also involved in aiding a sitting president getting bribes from another country, that is more important to me. That actually deems more significant to me than a bunch of people that chose to get on something unsafe and dying because of it. I don't care. They made their best, so shall they lie in it. All right, they're idiots. All right, it has nothing to do with my life. It's not going to affect my life either way. But a sitting president receiving benefits from another country definitely does, because that affects how the president then politics. It affects the president's politics. Has anyone ever wondered why billions and billions and billions of our tax dollars are going to Ukraine? Has anyone even questioned that at all? Has anyone questioned why billions and billions and billions of dollars are going to Ukraine? Why? Why is our tax dollars going towards a country that has no business receiving our money in the first place? Why? Well, because politics is a dirty game. Okay? It's a dirty game. when Joe Biden was the sitting president was when Joe Biden was the sitting vice president, um, he was in charge of the foreign affairs, and he and Joe Biden threatened to withhold funds from Ukraine, billions of dollars of our tax dollars. He threatened to withhold that from Ukraine if 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 the Ukraine if Ukraine did not if the Ukraine government did not fire the very prosecutor that was looking to prosecute his son and another business partner in the Burisma incident, or in the whole um, Burisma company, in which Hunter Biden was elected to hold a position that he had no experience in at all. He held the highest position, which was the chair board of a Burisma gas company, even though Hunter Biden had no experience in natural gas, or even treating natural gas. All right, had no experience at all in natural gas, never held a position in natural gas, and yet he gets the highest position that paid him $1 million a year. Gee, I wonder how he got that position. Maybe it had a lot to do with 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 his with using his father's position and getting that position, and then the Ukraine prosecutor wanting to prosecute Hunter Biden because of it. And Joe Biden blatantly came out and said, "Listen, they won't get any funds until they fire the very prosecutor that's trying to prosecute my son." He was basically holding US funds to Ukraine for ransom, and he was able to get that prosecutor fired. I mean, he admitted this. He admitted to being corrupt, and saying that they would not render aid to another country until that country got rid of the very prosecutor that was looking to prosecute his son. Talk about rules for thee and not for me. We live in a banana republic, a two-tier government that can basically get away with where one party can get away with whatever they want to while trying to punish another. But but yet the great white hope Donald Trump gets indicted just by inquiring to the government into looking into Hunter Biden's dealings, Hunter Biden's business dealings. He gets indicted. He gets indicted for that. Yet Hunter Biden can basically take bribes from the government, and Joe Biden doesn't even get one single look at that. No, nobody even wants to look at Joe Biden's involvement in Hunter Biden's dealings, because Joe Biden is heavily involved. Trust me, he is getting money through the back door. The guy may seem slow, but he knows what he's doing when it comes to collecting funds from other countries. And that's the reason why Joe Biden is able to amass massive wealth, because he's been able to give kickbacks back to other countries using our tax dollars to do so. He's basically using our tax dollars to get rich, our hard-earned money, and then turns around and speaks as if he's doing us a favor. And he gets no shine. He gets no spotlight from the mainstream media for doing so. That's amazing. But this is the country that we live in. So I want guys to start paying attention. But this is amazing, though. I thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this particular broadcast, hit the like button. All right, leave a comment afterwards. And I hope you guys enjoy your night. This was amazing. I'm glad I was able to bring up the awareness of this. And hopefully you guys will be able um, to know exactly what you're listening to, or what to expect when listening to mainstream media. Just understand one thing: mainstream media is all about sensationalism. It's not about news. They're about twisting the news. They're about telling you how to think as opposed to projecting the news and telling you and allowing you to see it for yourself. All right. I wouldn't even subscribe into Fox News. When Fox News started doing Pride Month, I immediately unsubscribed from them, and I've now have been tuning into Newsmax. So for those of you that want to listen to real news, tune into Newsmax. Because I'm telling you right now, cable that have held mainstream media is dead. It's not even dying; it's dead. Alternative media is the way to go, and platforms like Newsmax will reign on as real news, the way that it should be presented. But let me know what you guys think. Um, Subscribe to my channel if you happen to view this channel. I mean, if you happen to view this broadcast, and you like what you see, hit the like button, leave a comment. And with that being said, this is The Conservative, and I'm signing out. Amazing, guys. Thank you guys so much. I know I was only going to go for 20 minutes, but a couple people actually tuned in, so I decided to go for a little longer. Um, be on the lookout for next week's live broadcast, and I'll see you there. Amazing. And now you guys can enjoy the outro. So hope to see you guys next week on my live broadcast. Amazing. Thank you guys.